Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of season 3 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live at the weekend from Mexico, I would highly recommend going back and checking out a mixture of good and bad for Ferrari as a Formula 1 team. Yes, we finally were able to wrap up the Constructors' Championship there. The Scuderia Ferrari HP back on top for the first time since 2008. But Charles Leclerc and I did come to blows during the Grand Prix. Luckily, we seemed to come off slightly better in the instant. We were still able to take the win last time out in Mexico City. But yeah, Leclerc finishing down in about P5, I believe, in the end, means the gap has been cut back down to just 115 points. If we want any chance at the driver's title, we need to leave here with less than 112 points back from our teammate. As I've mentioned before, we're basically just trying to drag it out for as long as we can. But of course, obviously, Verstappen is still a little bit closer as well. It is officially a 3-car fight for the world title. But of course, yeah, as we head here to Brazil, a sprint weekend as well. It's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a long weekend. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 140,000 subscribers currently on the channel. And yeah, let's do this thing.
Atmospheric tracks don't come much better than this. We're in Brazil for qualifying. Let's get some laps at the limit.
Well, had you forgot that obviously we were back to one-shot qualifying for these sprint weekends? I certainly hadn't. As we head back here to Brazil, feels like it's been such a long time since we saw a sprint. Of course, apart from Austria in the middle of the year, they were all pretty much right at the start or right at the end of a Formula 1 campaign. But we need to try and get this car as close to pole position as we can, especially if we want to try and keep the title fight going against our teammate Charles Leclerc. I'm still interested to see just how quick Haas are in these last few races, because you guys have been commenting on it. And let me just say now, it is not out of the realms of possibility that we could go back to the American outfit ready for next season if we feel that they have got a car that we could deliver with there. It's been quite a miraculous rise through the ranks over the course of this season. We're still not quite seeing Gasly or Hulkenberg able to get everything out of it. This qualifying lap, though, has not been perfect so far. Half a second down on Lando Norris as we make our way out of Junção. Leclerc now will jump up to provisional fastest there, and as we're gaining a few more spots up towards the start-finish line, I think we've had an absolute stinker. We are going to line up P9 on the grid. We weren't that far away in the end, but all of the cars just bunching up in terms of performance. That's not gone well. And there we go, 4 tenths away from our teammate in the end. Only good enough for P9 there. Admittedly, had we found 200ths of a second, we would have lined up between the Aston Martins in P6. So razor-thin margins up and down the order there. But Gasly does out-qualify me in the first of those Haas cars. If I could go to Haas and have Gasly as a teammate, I could be very, very tempted next season there. Hulkenberg struggling a bit more, but the entire field covered by just 8.5 tenths of a second as we head into the sprint. Things are looking mighty tight. Perez, P17 in his Red Bull.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? We're racing then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7 mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3 that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Firestarter, Hamilton, Sainz, Albon, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Perez, Ocon, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. And we welcome you to the commentary box overlooking the circuit. I'm Alex Jakes, and I'm joined by Anthony Davidson. So a sprint race today, and that means lights to flag, no stops. And how is that going to affect the driver behind the wheel?
Absolutely. So for today, there's no pit stop, or shouldn't be a pit stop anyway, if things go right, and you can forget about strategy. You're just driving today as fast as you can, make those overtakes if you need to, and that's what a sprint weekend's all about.
Okay, mate, only 3 races left and you've still got a chance at the title, but if we're going to win it, we're going to need some very special performances in every one of those 3, and it starts here. Let's see what you can do today.
Last weekend, Mark said there was 5 Grand Prix to go, when there's actually 6. This weekend, he's telling me there's 3 races to go, when there's actually still 5, if you include the Grand Prix as well. So, not too sure what we make of that. But yeah, we need to try and obviously keep our title hopes alive as best as we can. I think the mediums are going to be the way to go, though, in this sprint. The soft compound tyres I never find work particularly well here. But if all of the AI are on softs, I think we... Oh, no, it's the other way around, isn't it? Sorry. The softs you have to use. Otherwise, the AI are too quick early on in this stint. Obviously, you know, we want to try and drag this out against Leclerc as far as we can, but the big one we've got to try and make sure we beat is Max Verstappen here. As we line up on the grid, then everybody around us on the softs. It is going to be 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint. And it is lights out, and away we go there. Gasly initially responded pretty well, but both of us are going to try and look round Oscar Piastri up in towards turn 1, and I actually got a good start inside this game. Tiny bit of wheel banging through that first corner. We do get a warning for a collision with Pierre. But that's not going to stop us then as we make our way down the Escudo de Lago on lap 1 there. Trying to hang on alongside Lance Stroll there, who just takes a bit of a swipe at me down in towards turn 4. Not too sure what to make of that one then, as Leclerc, Lando and Max, the top 3 in real life so far in the 2024 standings. Your top 3 in this Grand Prix, admittedly in reverse order. But yeah, Leclerc, I'm sure, would love to try and get back on top in yet another sprint weekend. And for us, it looks like it's going to be another sprint weekend that goes begging. We've still not won one inside this game. I feel like Lewis Hamilton, he's never won a sprint Grand Prix. And I still find that stat absolutely mad. But, you know, the less said about that, the better.
Focus now for the rest of the race.
As we come towards the end of lap 1, though, are we going to be able to get the run on Stroll? We seem to have pretty good top-end speed in this car. How many times have I said that so far this year? So hopefully we're going to try and use that to better our abilities.
This lap, we can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Oh, Stroll there just perfectly positioned his car on the inside there. So difficult to make the outside line work at turn 1. I'll have to wait and go for it again. I mean, look at the speed we can gain on Lance as we make our way back up towards turn 1. This time around, we're going to send it a little bit braver around the outside. And again, we just can't quite get the car slowed down at the right point there through turn 1. I know we've obviously got the speed in the car to try and get past him, but I think what we've basically got to do is be within about 6/10, and we've got to try and force him... Sorry, we've got to force ourselves to the inside of the Canadian for turn 1. We've got yellows out. Someone's got issues. I think that's a car in front. It's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen very early on then in the sprint race is out of it. So that is a terrible end to the Dutchman's afternoon very early on. And that pretty much guarantees that he's going to serve some grid penalties as well as we move into the Grand Prix proper. And I believe that might be the Dutchman's first ever DNF of the season. Obviously, we've had 4. Leclerc and Max Verstappen prior to now had not a single one. But Max Verstappen and Red Bull finally cracks beginning to show in what has been a pretty much a campaign of maximising everything they can. Annoyingly for me, though, we just cannot seem to keep up with the cars in front. But I think that's because I've left my tyre pressures too low. So, overheating at the rear is quite a lot.
Caution, caution.
And Lewis Hamilton there, I mean, look at that. Straight down the inside pretty comfortably at that first corner. Not too sure if he's going to have the pace to catch back up to Stroll in front. Maybe if they all keep fighting at the road, we'll have a chance. But yeah, I mean, look at that 3 wide just up in front there. But Gasly now sends it down my inside as well. We are really struggling early on here.
Win that place back.
Idea why we've got no pace in the car all of a sudden. But yeah, Brazil is definitely one of the best tracks for the AI. Oh, Hamilton, huge mistake down in turn 4. Lewis Hamilton now the next one to make an error here. And, well, unless you name Charles Leclerc, I think pretty much everybody else is locked in a battle at this stage of the afternoon. Annoyingly, I have slightly less faith in Gasly closing in on those other front runners. Yeah, if things were to finish like this, Leclerc, I mean, he's already got one hand on the championship, hasn't he? He'd basically put the other one. Right, come on then, let's try and actually get a run on Pierre Gasly here to the inside.
Tyres need to get us to the end of this race.
Yeah, the AI do have a lot of confidence on the brakes of that first corner, but clearly not enough that time round. Back up into P6 we go. Of course, we know that every point we score helps us out against Max Verstappen. So we can look at that battle still going on in front.
0.2 seconds.
Surely we can close in more of that gap if they're going to keep fighting like that already. 3/10 out of them in the space of one corner. And here comes Gasly back. We'll force him to the outside there. A little bit of a late defensive manoeuvre, but we will, yeah, just about hang on again. The inside line down at turn 1 is OP, but we're still taking time out of those cars in front. I think Alonso is the one causing the train right now. As we look at that, everybody trying to look for an opportunity. Again, they go 3 wide down into the middle sector. And again, we continue to close in that gap. Oh, come on, 2 laps to go. Gasly is just hounding us at the moment. And it's just not allowing us to close in on that group of cars in front as once again battling with the Haas. I mean, it gives us a good idea to see just how quick that car is. As Hamilton able to capitalise there off of turn 1. But immediately you can see we lose about a second for those cars in front when we battle like this. 2 laps left of this sprint race. Leclerc looks dead set to win. So we've got more yellows out further behind. That's a Kick Sauber breaking down. Maybe at some point on this game I need to try and make Kick Sauber great again. But yeah, I think that's a project for another day. Is it Joe? Is it Vesti? I would say it's Joe. Yes, it is.
Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
As we round out of the banking there to start the last lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint. Lewis Hamilton now is looking for it. Back down towards someone. We'll let him have the corner. He's got to the inside there. He'll always get the run on me. But yeah, we are really struggling with the rear tyres, but we need to try and go for it. Get the DRS slingshot move back down in towards turn 4. So you can see Lewis there. We just have a look to the inside, but he had enough speed down in towards that corner there to try and hang on to the position. Now it's either we try and commit to it now, or we try and get a run out of the final corner here. So close to the back of that Merc, but you can see how much we're struggling with the grip of the car. Gasly again having a look to the inside there. We'll give him a little bit of a squeeze through the next couple of corners, but yeah, really struggling with rear temperatures here. It might only be a problem on the softs, but the AI is so good around this circuit. They're able to keep those soft tyres in good nick right the way throughout this sprint race. You can see by the time you make it down in towards the final corner, we have actually lost that DRS range to Lewis Hamilton. Big mistake as Leclerc takes the win in the sprint. I think we're going to be in for a drag race towards the line, though. We've just got to try and drain the battery as best as we can. Gasly will get close. Not enough. It is P7. Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc takes the win in the sprint. 5.5 seconds clear of Fernando Alonso in the end. He might have got a little bit lucky with everyone else battling behind there, but you can just see, based on our fastest lap, we never had the pace to really compete with that top kind of 4 or 5 drivers there. Hamilton 10th to 6th in the end, gets the jump on myself there. As Hamilton beats myself, Gasly and Piastri. We all finished in the reverse order of where we started, which is rather impressive. Albon finishes in P10, clearly showcasing that Williams once again have got a little bit of pace. And just Max Verstappen, who is not classified in the end, means the gap between myself and the Dutchman down to just 19 points there. Like I said, we need to be, I believe, within 112 of Leclerc. So all he needs to do is finish second here today to myself, and he will be your Formula 1 World Champion. Well, I've made a few tweaks into the setup as we head into real qualifying. Not sure it's going to make the car much quicker over one lap, but it's certainly going to hopefully help us out in race trim there. So we need to try and see if we can get a little bit further up the order this time round. Everybody's obviously got a little bit of practice under their belt, so everybody knows where their strengths and weaknesses lie against each other here. But Charles Leclerc, he knows just how to dominate around this circuit so far this weekend. Nobody's really been able to get close to him in the sprint race at least. Will he do the same thing as we move into the Grand Prix proper? We just need to try and qualify as close to him as we can. Maybe then just hang inside the DRS range as early as possible and for as long as possible here. You can just see, say, the car didn't feel bad in sprint qualifying. It was just in the race that I realised we compromised a bit too much. There's Alonso there now storming up to the front of the field. Could we see the Spaniards get a very late pole? We often see Aston Martin come on strong right towards the end of the campaign, but Charles Leclerc out in the final corner, able to get that power down. Where are we going to end up on the grid, though, as we try and drain the battery towards the line? We're barely going to do any better than we did in the sprint qualifying. It's P6. What is wrong with my one-lap pace today? And admittedly, again, we couldn't really do a lot more in the car, but it is still gutting to be that far away from our teammate there. A 106.9 is a decent improvement. But yeah, Alonso, Russell, Norris, and of course, Pierre Gasly gets the better of me as well there. Both Haas cars this time around inside the top 10. Red Bull, 11th for Max Verstappen and 15th for Sergio Perez. With the exception of Fred Vesti, everyone now covered by less than 0.8 of a second as well. So things are going to be unpredictable. I believe Verstappen will be starting at the back anyway, so we just want to try and get ahead of him in the title fight. But that would require a win.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his third championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Yung Cao into one of two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Fernando Alonso completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Norris, Gasly, Firestarter, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Albon, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Behrman, Perez, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Ocon, Vesti, Verstappen, and Zhou Guanyu. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Well, here we are then, back on the grid once more. This time round, we're lining up P6, but yeah, hopefully we can try and get as good a start as we did in the sprint race there. Team want us to go softs, but I think we're going to try the mediums, see how well they go, and then maybe take a set of the hard compound tyre to the end of the afternoon. Ultimately, yeah, I just feel the softs are a bit too risky, and we know they didn't hang on very well in the sprint, so I'd rather just have slightly worse tyres early on, and then make our way forward later on in the afternoon. Let's do this thing, though. Like we said, we know the objective today. We've got to try and beat our teammate as best as we can, but I think that is going to be a very, very tall order there. 5 red lights on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go. There is Leclerc not getting off to a very good start. Russell and Fernando Alonso will say thank you very much. We're going to be 4 wide into turn 1 there. There's Hülkenberg, a very aggressive move. We were lucky they were able to get out of that one, but immediately we'll try and get back involved in it there. As down the middle of the Haas cars will go. We'll even get the run on Lando Norris off of the corner, so very nip and tuck early on in this Grand Prix. We'll leave them to hopefully fight just behind us there, but Leclerc not getting off to the start he would have wanted at the front of the field there. Fernando Alonso, obviously I believe he took the win here, didn't he? It might have been... No, I think he had a penalty in the end, didn't he? Almost took the win here in Brazil, all the way back in Season 1. I have no idea what it is with Aston Martin on this game, and weirdly having a resurgence right at the end of the season, just to fall flat on their face, pretty much come the start of season, the next one. But yeah, as we make our way though on lap 1, up 2 spots again, just like we did in the sprint. But that was all the progress I could make yesterday. We've got a lot more laps today though, to try and continue making an impact. But we've got to wait and see if the AI in front fight early on here, because otherwise it might be in our best interest to actually let Gasly by and let him drag us along. There we go. I think they're almost 3 wide up in towards turn 1, as we are going to get dived by Pierre anyway, so I guess that kind of made our mind up for us. But yeah, can Gasly drag me along, get a little bit closer to those front 3? Say, we've just got to play the long game here, because we know our harder tyres will work out towards the end of the stint. So on Norris, I think, yeah, a little bit impatient, want to try and get past. We've got to stay with Pierre. Already then we can see the benefits of letting Gasly drag us along. Gap to those cars in front is already back down to 2 seconds there. I mean, it is kind of dependent on whether they battle. And Alonso just seems to be able to keep Russell and Leclerc at arm's length right now. But yeah, the other important thing for us, though, is that we keep Norris at bay. I'm happy to let Gasly stay in front, but we also can allow, you know, the AI Weirwood to battle either. Haas, though, they didn't quite showcase it in Mexico, but that car really does genuinely have pace. Well, team want me to try and make the move on Pierre Gasly then here, so as we make our way back up towards turn 1, I think we're going to try and make the move. Oh, not quite able to get alongside him there, and this is really, really critical for us that we don't fight too much. As well, yeah, I think we're just starting to see a transition between the tyres. I think our tyres now are starting to look a little bit more comfortable. So around the outside of Gasly we'll go.
Nice work.
Make sure we don't fight each other too much and cost ourselves time. But yeah, let's see what the pace is like over the next couple of laps. See if we can continue reeling in the top 3. The harder the tyre inside F124, the warmer it can operate. And this is definitely starting to work for us, although Charles now has finally moved back to the front of the field. The gap to Russell floating now towards 1 second. If we can just get in that DRS range, then we know we've got a bit of an easier life of it. I'd like to get ahead of them before they box at about the end of lap 14, just because I am still a little bit worried about the undercut later on. But yeah, I'm not convinced Alonso and Russell are going to be able to fight Leclerc as hard as he was able to battle them. But every soft compound runner just starting to struggle. Sometimes the alternate strategy can work, because we've got yellows out. I think someone behind me's gone for a spin or something's happened. Can't quite see what it is, because annoyingly my camera is right in the way. Might be Lewis Hamilton, I don't know. But it's so frustrating, that gap to Russell just ebbing and flowing between about 1.5 and 1.1 seconds here. I can get nice and close. We might just be able to get him inside the DRS range this time around back at turn 1. See that gap really, really coming down. I think it was 1.0 that time, so we are a lap or 2 away from having that DRS. But the AI are a lap or 2 away probably from making their pit stops here. Come on, Russell does seem to be struggling to keep up with the top 2. Alonso, though, once again, seems to be back on a resurgent form this series. And there we go, we've finally done it. We're finally inside the range of George Russell here. So now it's a case of waiting for when the AI are going to pit. But we gain a little bit of extra free time at exactly the same time as well. We get Gasly out of our range, so hopefully we're not going to be under as much pressure from the cars behind. But this is critical for us. So far, this strategy is working. Let's see then if we can try and get a run on George Russell just 1 lap further on. I was hoping we could utilise the straight line speed of this car a bit more this weekend. Haven't quite been able to use it the way I would like.
Let's make the most of it.
Oh, down the inside we'll go there. Just kick the back end out slightly on the exit of the corner. Alonso now is going to be in a Ferrari sandwich. As Russell, yeah, I mean, he's got no answer back at me. We've got yellows. Someone's got issues behind again. Last time around, I don't think it was anything in the end. Who is it this time, though? I think it might be the Haas car of Nico Hülkenberg.
Right, let's go. Let's try and get past them and put them on the back foot. Push, push.
Once again, then, it seems like someone just makes a mistake down at turn 1. It brings the yellow flag out, and I'm made to look like a moron because I can't see my mini-map very well. Oh, okay. Leclerc and Alonso in then. So we've now basically got free reign to box whenever we like.
If you hit that target, that sets us up nicely for the rest of this race.
Well, there we go then. Yep, Leclerc and Alonso in. So I might dive in this very next lap. Try not to let them undercut me too aggressively. Maybe if they got held up as well, that could play to our benefit. Perez all the way up to P5, so he's having a pretty good recovery drive so far. But yeah, let's get into the pits at the end of this lap then. Box pit confirmed to the team.
Stay out on track. Stay out.
I know that, Mark. Just let me box the end of this one. Well, we've got to make sure we've got a little bit of a buffer as well to George Russell then as we make our way out of the final corner once again. Hülkenberg and Stroll should be a little bit further back, so they shouldn't be much of a concern either here. But we've got to be aggressive into the pit lane entry, which we will be. 44 miles an hour on the entry there, so we pretty much nailed that as much as I would hope to. And luckily, yeah, Mercedes, of course, ahead of us in the pit boxes as well. But how well will our teammate have been able to fire up his tyres? No! How did we get held up? They were like 5 seconds back, man. Terrible by Ferrari once again here, as I think Leclerc might fly past us. There he is.
White line on the exit will receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
We are racing on pit exit there. There is Leclerc. There is Alonso. As we are going to try and get out inside the range then. So that hasn't worked out too badly for me. What we just need to do is stay inside that range for as long as we can. And just warm these tyres up. Get into a rhythm. And know we have the confidence. But a bit like we had to do then on the medium tyres earlier on. I think we're going to have to let George Russell by on his softer compound here. Just because he's got a bit more pace than me off the restart lap. Leclerc a 1:08.3 there, near enough a second quicker than I've been able to do this afternoon. But yeah, can Russell close back in on that top two? Maybe if they fight. Well, George Russell has got his bit between his teeth there. He's trying to close in on that top two. He'll have one lap fresher tyres right to the end of the afternoon. You can just see Alonso not able to get close enough.
5 seconds.
Purple final sector, but we were still 7/10 slower than Leclerc did one prior. But yeah, we've got to think of the long game. We've got to be there right at the end of the afternoon if we want to fight. Well, I think Russell and I both know if Alonso and Leclerc battle, even if it's only once, then surely we're going to get in that range.
Readings from a couple of the sensors.
Of course we
I don't
are.
think you need to be worried, just some bad data. So keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
How have EA not patched this yet? Like, it's every single race. It's so annoying. And maybe my pre-race ritual needs to be that we check the tyre pressure monitors before every single Grand Prix. Oh, there we go. Alonso. Alonso now to the inside of Leclerc.
We need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
And what's then on the top left-hand side of your screens there? Look how much immediately the gap will come down to your top two here. We've got to get back within that 1 second mark. I'm not worried about trying to go for anything until at least lap 30. We know we'll have better tyres towards the end of the afternoon. But yeah, Leclerc and Alonso, they both want this win. Oh, there we go. Russell, he's inside the range. We've got barely 1/3 distance to go. Effectively from here, there is a sprint left of this afternoon's Grand Prix. But as we try and have a look to the outside of the Mercedes, go very, very late on the brakes there, but Russell won't back out. We have a huge lockup on the front inside left there, but we get the car slowed down.
Brings you up a place.
And I think, yeah, for the first time since the pit stop window, we are back into the podium places here. But this is so great seeing Alonso getting the elbows out.
So let's use all the techniques you know about to charge it up.
It is all but guaranteed that Ferrari are going to be world champions this year. But it is quite fitting that a man that failed to do so with that team, or a team really that failed to do so with that man, are now battling for the win. Well, George Russell was able to get inside the range of Alonso. We got the jump on him almost immediately. But it hasn't meant we've been able to stay with them, so I think it's probably in our best interest to let George back by again. 10 laps to go of this Grand Prix, and yeah, I'm just not convinced we've got the pace right now just yet to really get inside that range there, and I think we're costing both ourselves and Russell time. And Merc is going to be closing in on me back up towards Turn 1. Unless Alonso and Leclerc can really battle again, that's kind of how we're able to gain a lot there. Is a big moment at the Center S. We'll still try and get the power down there. Russell, he's not really able to do it though. I just don't think either of us have really got the pace.
2.3 seconds.
So we'll have to move in for an apex there. We cannot afford to just let Russell sit on our rear quarter. Or maybe the only reason we were still going quicker than Alonso and Leclerc was simply the fact they were fighting. Maybe these harder compounded tyres aren't quite going to get there by the end of the day in terms of the raw pace. Annoyingly, yeah, once more Leclerc just able to keep Alonso back. And it's really, really costing us. We need them to fight if we want to look in. But I'm just not quite convinced we've got enough. And so here we go. Alonso closing in back down towards Turn 4. I think he's aware of it as well. I think he's starting to sit behind.
By 3.0 seconds.
And Russell will make it back through. I mean, as long as we can definitely stick with Russell. But I just am starting to see our championship hopes completely evaporate mathematically once and for all. Well, we know Fernando Alonso is a wily old fox in Formula 1, and he might just have worked out what we were trying to do here. So he's decided, you know, he's going to play that game as well, sitting behind Leclerc for a few laps, just to make sure us two can't get there, and then go for the attack right towards the end of the afternoon. All up under the gearbox of Russell down at Turn 1. And a huge mistake trying to get into Turn 2. Come on, Matt. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. We've got a red flag. Why? One of the Saubers has gone.
There's been an incident on track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
Well, as if this race needed a little spot of drama right towards the end, we have got it there. A red flag called with just 5 laps to go.
Let's have a think about how we handle the rest of this race.
We're going to have a 4-lap sprint to the checkered flag here, and suddenly Leclerc, I was just thinking about how he's going to finally end Max Verstappen's reign of terror in the Formula 1 season, but it might still have another twist. Soft tyres, surely. We can make this work.
Good opportunity to get this start spot on. Come on.
5 red lights on the grids. Oh, I almost jumped that, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go. And we don't get off to a particularly good one there. Alonso does. Trying to have a look past Sarlin towards someone, but not quite able to make anything happen there. As Hulkenberg again tried to dive it on me through turn 2, but we just won't allow that to happen. And now suddenly, this is probably as much about battery management as it's going to be about everything else in these final 4 laps. Who goes when? Where do you try and make the move happen? Do you wait right until the checkered flag? Or will anyone really be able to have a look at Charles Leclerc here? I mean, all of us know that the tyres, they shouldn't even overheat. They probably won't have time to overheat late on in the afternoon. But as we navigate our way through this middle sector on lap 1 again, we've survived the restart. But can we try and make our way through? I'll be honest, I think we've got to try and get up into P2 here. I think we've got to try and get in the range of our teammate as soon as possible here to try and utilise that DRS right towards the end of the race. Russell! Oh, he gave me a big old squeeze.
DRS is now online.
He's going to try and move me as well down in the braking zone there, trying to turn across us. But up into P3 we'll go then almost immediately. I'll have the DRS off Alonso in front. But surely he's going to be hounding Leclerc as well here. Not quite got the run down in towards turn 4. Alonso again, though. He is wise. And I'll be about to see Alonso then try to go for the move on our teammate here. Could Alonso, despite having both Ferraris around him, both in a quicker car, could he still chalk this win up there as Alonso new fast lap of the day?
Fastest lap of the race.
Able to get close enough to Charles that time, but luckily as well we're creating a bit of breathing room behind to Russell. I don't think he's got the ultimate pace to keep up here. As here we go, Alonso. Oh, again he thinks about it. Less than 2 laps left, but he cannot make the move. 1 more lap to go then here as we round our way through the final corner. Charles Leclerc still leading, Fernando Alonso still waiting in the wings, and we are just going to try and drain all of our battery now to try and get as close to the top 2 as we can. You can see Alonso's trying to save a little bit, as we will take that fastest lap away. That bonus point could still prove useful against Max. But are we going to see Alonso get anything on our teammate down towards turn 4? Or is it our opportunity to try and claim P2 here? We haven't got enough straight line speed, but neither has Alonso there. And the top 3 are basically going to be nose to tail as we make our way into the middle sector. Just ran a little bit wide through turn 4, but surely now Alonso, he's going to have to wait until the final straight of this Grand Prix if he wants to do anything. But surely Leclerc is wise to it. I will have saved up some battery as well. We're just trying to recharge up the pack behind, but we've got to try and stay as close to the pair of them as we can. This is not over yet. We're just a handful of corners to go at the Brazilian Grand Prix. This circuit has seen dramatic finishes before. Max Verstappen's reign of dominance seems to be over in Formula 1. Out of the final corner, are we going to be able to get the run on Fernando here? I think Leclerc's going to do it. Charles Leclerc is going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix, and in doing so, will become your Formula 1 world champion. Ferrari have done it.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. The man from Monaco will win again. Charles Leclerc takes the checkered flag.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc, obviously with the huge break after Singapore. It's actually been about 7 weeks since he last won a Formula 1 Grand Prix, but I'm sure our teammate, that was exactly how we would have wanted to win the world title there. For us, though, we were only half a second away come the checkered flag, but we ultimately never quite had the pace to beat our teammate this weekend. Russell comes through for P4, ahead of Hulkenberg, Stroll, Sainz, Albon, and Pierre Gasly there. A bit of a disappointing end to the race when all is said and done, but Haas, I think it's clear to see that car has got some real pace here. Verstappen and Perez, Red Bull didn't score a single point all weekend there, so really was a disappointing result for them. But yeah, with I believe 112 points left available, if you take all the wins, the sprint in Qatar, and all of the fastest lap bonus points, Charles Leclerc is your Formula 1 world champion. It has been a long journey for him and Ferrari, but he has finally done it. Bigger battles going on behind though, 4 points in it between ourselves and Max Verstappen. Alonso as well, putting himself with a bit of safety ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri there, with Perez still down in P9. Gasly and Hulkenberg, yeah, as well, slowly moving their way up. They could still jump Stroll by the end of the year as well there. And constructors-wise, well, Haas trying to close in that gap on Williams. And yeah, the gap for us opens up to 337 points ahead of Red Bull. 3 points in it between McLaren and Mercedes, though, late on in the campaign. So there is still a lot yet to be decided. But thank you, everyone, so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns, ready for the Portuguese Grand Prix. That's going to be fun. A return to Portimao.